Beautiful Carson City down below. Kings Canyon below. And in the Sierras above. We are in the Sierras. This is actually the Toiyabe National Forest, which has, if you really research it, between our work and other people's work, there are more Bigfoot sightings and evidence in this forest than anywhere within 100 miles of here almost. It's very intense. Very intense. And then Washoe Lake, which vanished and is completely dried up. Long ways to the top, but the Sierras are just at the top of that ridge, and it will be at 9,000 feet and heading to Snow Valley Peak.
Yeah, it looks like it does it over there.
Yeah, it does.
Well, I mean, everything's a desert here, but
It's a hell of a steep climb, ladies and gentlemen, of Expedition 2. We're climbing from, we started at the bottom, where Carson City is, and we've worked our way all the way almost to the top of the Sierra Nevada mountain range. And there are some mountains are snow-capped still. It's all snow. It's very steep. You can't climb this fast. There's no way around it. You just have to take your time. The pine needles make it extremely slippery and volatile. You could fall and you could tumble 20 feet and break a leg. You break a leg, you could be out 6 months. Then you won't be able to climb no mountains. It's almost straight up. That's how steep it is. We came here last year ago. It was Jared, Andy, and me. Andy's no longer on the team because he didn't show for half of the investigations, or he just pissed and moaned about everything. And, you know, there is no amenities when you're in the wilderness. You just have to accept it for what it is. You know, we still have another 1,000 feet to the top. Once we're on top, we can just walk the ridge in the woods, and maybe we'll find another shelter, scat, prints, tracks, mutilations, anything could be up here. There's no trail. This is all primitive country here. We're almost to Snow Peak. Maybe another Snow Valley Peak. Another mile to go. Very few people don't access it through Carson City. They actually take the Flume Trail at Spooner Lake, hike to 5 or 6 miles in, and there's a little trail that goes up to the peak. That's a mile or two from the Tahoe side. We're actually accessing it from the very bottom, where Carson City is, all the way up over the Sierras to Snow Valley Peak, which I believe can be seen from Carson. Go Jared! Go Jared! Haha, that's pretty steep. And I keep slipping. Job's Peak, Job's sister peak, Friel Peak, very high mountains with lots of snowpack. Couple very large hawks scouring for food. You can see it's very remote. And there's nothing but hawks up here. You have to, and other wildlife, but you have to take into consideration how many people go up here by themselves and are never seen again. You definitely don't want to go up here alone. And if you're leaving the trail, nobody's going to ever find you. It's just a fact. This is some rough country back in here. Between here and Lake Tahoe, it might be 10 miles across. It's still extremely primitive. And we have to be careful. We're not going to get lost. It's very easy to end up on the wrong peak or on the wrong side of things. One mistake can cost you. My camera's out. I'm using an old camera for pictures and my new camera for video, but my new camera, it's not working. So I'm not able to get really good pics, which is fine. We've already taken lots of pictures here, but when we get to the peak, that's where the pictures are really going to count. Figuring I can't take very good photos of the peak, what I can do is get really good video footage so everybody can see some HD quality video footage from on top of Snow Valley Peak. So today includes hiking near King Falls, to the Bigfoot shelter, to open meadows, to the top of the Sierras, all the way to Snow Valley Peak, which is one of the biggest in this region, to visiting. We're not going to make it to the shores of Tahoe, but we will make it to the Tahoe Rim today, which overlooks Tahoe and is extremely gorgeous. And we're taking the back way in, starting from Carson and up. Look at that. We're going to have to make ourselves, what we're going to have to do is cross the ridge, going up in the canyon, zigzag left, and then climb right all the way to the top. Wow, we got a cut out for this, but we'll do it. Look at this one hour away. It's a good climb, because up in that canyon, it's pretty steep. Our destination. Look at that beautiful peak, just waiting to be conquered. Not too bad. You got to go through the canyon, zip to our left and zip to our right. It's a little steep to the top, but we'll make it. As a matter of fact, I'm thinking about going straight and cutting to the right and then zipping to the left. It's less steep. It's pretty quiet up here. Can't hear a car or a plane, just the breeze and the birds. It's very peaceful. Jared found this on the ground. Property Boundary National Forest. This is the Tahoe. This is the Toiyabe National Forest, but this is considered the Tahoe State Park at the top of the ridge here. So we're in National Forest country, and then Jared's holding it, so he found it on the ground. But you can see these are the foothills to the Sierras, and that below, all this is Carson City. The woods overshadow Carson City. People don't realize that there are woods around Carson. Carson's a mix of high desert and forest, and ranch land as well. It's very unique. It's an all-American city. And they come up here and hike from the bottom. It's really an honor. but we still have a long ways to go. So I'll keep you posted. About probably 600 to 1,000 feet we'll be at the top of the Sierras, and then we can overlook Lake Tahoe and Lake Martlet. Beautiful country. Backpacking in the Sierras has never felt so good. But wow, another 1,000 feet to the top. Look at that. Woo! It's a long ways up the mountain. We need to figure out an easier way up, guys. The least stressful way. We could go down and climb to the top, or we could go straight ahead and cut over to the mountain. What do you guys think? What do you think, man? What's the easiest way to that peak? Straight ahead and cut across to the left?
Yeah.
Or straight over there, but it's more steep over there than over here, yeah. Oh yeah, here's what we'll do, ladies and gentlemen. We'll go down into this canyon, hike up to the top, and then cut all the way to the left. It'll split over here, down into another canyon. We'll just cross it straight across and then just work our way up. It's going to be a lot of work, but we should get there in time for lunch. Beautiful peak. Like I said, you could take the Flume Trail, and it's like 6-7 miles. Actually, it's about 3-4 miles from Spooner, and then you veer off to your right and you can take the trail. It's a mile or two to the summit. Or you can start at the bottom of the Carson Range in Carson City, go up to the top of the Sierras like we're doing, and then just cut over to the peak. Snow Valley Peak is very interesting, because if you ever study a topographical map, you'll see that it's one of the only peaks labeled, besides Hobart Peaks, Houghton Peak, Mount Rose, Slide Mount. So we should see a lot of peaks. We'll see Reno, we'll see Carson. We have to be careful because the winds right now are heavily picking up. And you know, we're actually going a few hundred feet down to go a few hundred feet back up. So it's a very difficult trek. A lot of ups and a lot of downs. And now we're getting lower and lower. And we're going to have to make up by going all the way back down through this brush and all the way back up to the top. We'll make it. We'll definitely make it. I estimate another hour or two, we should almost be there. Going down off the mountains will be quick. An hour or two as opposed to 5 hours at the top. Probably, more or less. You look pretty small when you're hiking in such a vast, large canyon. We're not even in Kings Canyon. People write me, oh, there's no way Bigfoot built a shelter because it's too close to Carson. These people don't realize, yeah, you're right. But this creature can come all the way up to people's doorsteps and sift through trash cans, trash. Some of the deer that graze in the lower meadows at night come by, scoop one up, take it up to its den, which could be up in those rocks. We'll check for caves, dens, anything like that. It's pretty cool. We have to be careful going through this brush. My legs are already bleeding really bad. These expeditions will really test everything you have. Because you'll bleed. Your legs will bleed. I've had friends ask me, I want to come to the U.S., where should I go? And I'm like, come out to Lake Tahoe, man. Not only will I smoke you out with some of the best herb and 420 you can get on the West Coast, but you'll get to go drink and eat at the brewery. You get to hike up in the Sierras, visit Lake Tahoe, which is Tahoe is one of the wonders of the world. I don't think people really understand that. Tahoe is one of these lakes that it's a must-see. There's Bigfoot, there's UFOs, there's a lake monster. It's a total paranormal region, the total paranormal region for people who are really serious paranormal investigators. Now I'm trying to go through the plants without cutting myself up too much, but you still can't avoid them. These plants are gonna cut up into you regardless if you go through them. Now we're at the bottom of the canyon. Now we got to go back up. It's a test. It's a testament to our courage and our tenacity and our persistence to make it to one peak that overlooks Carson City and Lake Tahoe. There are no trails. This is all primitive hiking. This is brush that'll cut you up. People think that, you know, what we do here is easy. And it's just simply not. Still quite a ways off. It'll look a lot different when you stand there. It has no trees hardly on it. So we're gonna roast climbing it. We're in this little valley or canyon. Foliage is brutal, but we're just slowly traversing it. Off in the distance you have some snow-capped mountains. We're above Carson City, very far above it. We'll keep ascending. Look at that beast. Oh, that's beauty. Carson City. The Virginia Range. Where'd all the winds come from all of a sudden? It's cooling me down, isn't it? Wow. We're about at 8,000 feet. And the mountain's 9,200. Look at that beauty. That's a beauty. We'll be standing up there soon. Looks like there might be a person. No, that's a tree. I say sometimes people go up the other way. It's a little easier, but it's a longer hike than going straight up through Carson into the peak. Get her done. We've earned it. We're at the top of the Pine Nut Mountains. We're almost level with them. Some of them peaks level out at 10,000, 10K. Some of them 8,500 to 9,500, many of them. But there's a few in that range that can get to about 10,200, 300 feet. And those peaks still have snow on them. Some of them do. Imagine being a Sasquatch. You could stand here at this vista point and look down and nobody would ever see you, even from the city. Because these are two separate worlds you're looking at here. Trying to make our way back up into the saddle. It's not going to be easy. I'm looking straight ahead. It's straight up. We have a couple more miles of hiking to get to where we have to go. This is an all-day event probably. And this brush is going to cut us up if we head the wrong direction. We're screwed. I had to put in a knee brace on. It was pulling so bad on my right knee, the one I usually fall on all the time, lose my balance. break my camera on falls. Have to walk with a cane sometimes. That's the knee that's hurting. It's a lot of uphill. It's very strenuous. Very steep. Might take me all day. Medicated, drinking out of my canter, boozed up, smoking, but we'll try to make it. Wow, the winds are picking up. Found some shiny black pieces of rock where lightning struck it. Possibly obsidian, which the Washoe would use or carve arrowheads and join a hunt. A hunt would take place in the Sierras where deer are plentiful and other wild animals. Wow, that's how you know you're truly in the middle of nowhere. Nothing for miles. Miles from nowhere. Nobody will hear you scream out here. It's just a howl in the wind. The land of a million cuts. This is going to be painful. They have jeans on, I have shorts, and I am bleeding. What I tell you guys a long time ago, when we do this type of work, it's blood, sweat, and tears. I am cutting myself up in this. This is what puts you into shock, a state of shock. And you get about 10,000 of these cuts. Not 10,000, but you know, when you get too many of them, it causes an allergic reaction and your body shuts down. So I gotta be careful not to be cut up. What's even worse is we have to go through this and we're gonna make our climb for the summit. Wow. I hate this shit. There's no break in it, hardly. It's what cuts open your pants, man. Ah. Holy shit, that hurt. Looks like you found an animal path. There's a Sasquatch path, man. Looks like Sasquatch came through. Everything's really stomped down. No human came through here. There's no human prints. Red brush. Ow. Ugh. Ow. I need some booze.
Yes, you do.
We're almost in the woods. I need booze. I need some whiskey in my tummy. Numb my body up. Just turned 40 years old, and I'll tell you what, I might be able to go further than most people, but that does not mean it's not going to kill me for the next week. I will have 7 days, literally, of sharp pain. My knee is blowing out. My back and neck. It's whiskey time. Cigar time. Booze, whiskey. Little toke here, a toke there. Holy shit, man. High desert brush to alpine woods. How does that happen? We're in the woods, man. I can't see shit. Wonder why people come up dead or vanishing or missing. Don't you think if someone came up here alone, they get turned around and end up dying out here? Watch it, folks. Skeletons are found out here all the time. Beware. We might find a skeleton back here sitting up on a rock or mutilated by Sasquatch himself. Not all Sasquatch are collectors or scavengers. Some Sasquatch will, if you're in the middle of their territory, close to their young, just like any wild animal that's territorial, it could charge, it could attack. We have to use caution. And if there's a shortage of food supply and it needs to feed its young and it needs to eat to survive, guess what? It's going to take you down with it. Especially if you're by yourself. Not so much in a group. I'm traveling with my sons. It's June 3rd. They just had gotten out of school, so we're backpacking up from Carson City over the Sierras to Snow Valley Peak, which overlooks Lake Martlet, Lake Tahoe, and some other pristine places and peaks prominent in the region, including Carson City, Reno, Slide Mountain, Mount Rose, Job's Peak, Friel Peak, Genoa Peak. Variety of peaks. Let's just leave it at that. This is an animal path, man. We cannot see nothing. We are deep in the forest. Ah, shit. There goes my arm, sliced open. No pain, no glory. That's for sure. We can't even see the peak anymore. This is a squatch path. It's not a human path. Something big has been coming through here for years, flattening it down, breaking branches. I'm cutting left. I see an opening on top, at the top of the hill. Huh?
The peak up there.
We're getting there. Oh, I gotta sit. Oh man, it's right there. It's about 500 feet ascension. We need to keep cutting left. When we get to the saddle, we cut up to our right, and we can go right to the peak.
So you want to go up this?
Well, there's a clearing up ahead. See where the trees are?
A lot of pine needles on your back.
I know.
It looks like you have spikes.
Film it. Film all those pine needles, man.
Look. Oh,
It's a-
that there.
Dang, bro.
Yeah.
No pain, no gain.
So we'll just keep following this until we get over to that clearing, and then we can just start heading up the saddle.
Yeah, we're gonna get to the saddle. Saddle's the best way up. Had some poison ivy earlier get on us while we're in the middle of the woods, man. Just want to show everybody this shrub or small tree you see is silver. It looks like chrome. It's one of the only plants in the Sierras that looks like spray painted chrome. It's completely shiny silver if you look. It may be hard to see, but you know. It also buds these small flowers, which are common in the Sierras. These small flowers. Metallic silver. We have to go up, and we got to follow this over to the saddle. I see the peak. Still about 400 or 500 feet up. This is almost a straight climb. This peak's going to be the end of us. I'm out of here. Time to ascend. I say we go right here up the path. There's a path with no brush.
Alright.
You know what they call this when you go through this stuff? Bushwhacking. It's a sport where you bushwhack and you go through the bushes and you chop them down and step on them. Look, see? If we go up this way,
Okay.
we can go straight up the path. As long as we keep heading up, we'll almost be in the saddle. The saddle won't have brush. It'll have woods, you know what I'm saying? Because now you're entering the Tahoe Basin. So this kind of foliage that grows here doesn't grow in Tahoe. Wow, it's pretty steep, but that means we're going straight up to the peak almost, so I can deal with that. 9,200 feet almost. Oh yeah. Wow. Hold on a second. Look at that. We just climbed over this mountain you see straight in front, all the way down and all the way back up. Now you have a nice view also of Carson City out to the northeast. We're facing it diagonally. The Virginia Range where Virginia City is. And the peak is way up above. You see between the trees how it ascends from left to right? That's where the peak is. We don't want to go down, man. The mountain's not down though, it's to our left. But yeah, if we can find an animal path with less brush, that would be good, because I am cut open all over. Wow, the mountain's just above that hill. Alright. We're making some headway to Snow Valley Peak. It's a shame I have to do it medicated, but the pain is just utterly ridiculous between cut open, broken bones in my neck, nerve damage in my knee, to its cartilage being worn down and breaking off. We're out of the brush, now we're into the woods. Very steep, harsh woods. A lot of fallen trees to climb over. Dare to walk where the angels not tread. What man's gonna come back here? Who's crazy enough to come back here? We're probably the first humans in 100 years to set foot. Primitive, very primitive. There's our peak. Yeah, once we get to the ridge, man, we just go straight up on the ridge. I'll have to zoom in a little. It's pretty up there, lots of flowers. Lots of nice views, guys. Thoughts of leaving Carson City behind as we trudge through the bushwhacking our way through the Toiyabe Forest, reaching Snow Valley Peak and descending onto the Lake Tahoe Basin towards Lake, Lake Tahoe, Snow Valley. The views will be stellar, but there is blood, sweat, and tears. I am cut up to the max. Our photos won't be as good because I'm ripping them. I'm going to rip all our photos from the videos instead. Although I do have another camera on us, it's not that great. And the other camera's broke and refuses to take a photo. Tell me why this happens to me, I don't know. But it does. It's time to switch brands of cameras. I also ripped my shirt, my brand new shirt. Very steep. Ah. Oh. Stuck to my head, man. That hurt. I have long hair. It was ripping my hair out. Everything else is ripping. My shirt, my hair, my underpants. Look how steep this is. Another 200-300 feet of this before we even reach the saddle. I'll be back with more footage. You're watching our ascension. Gone. That was an exotic bird. It may look close, but it's not close. Hundreds of feet up, hundreds of feet to ascend to. I'll show you some landmarks. Sea Hill, Pine Nut Mountain Range, the Virginia Range, Washoe City, Carson City, and then alas, Washoe Lake. Nothing but a mere dry sand pit. That lake used to run for a few miles, over a mile wide, and now look at it. That's not water. That's dry lake beds. We're very high up. The peak is just beyond those trees. We're gonna try to cut across the saddle and then zigzag it to the peak. Get our pictures, our video, and work our way down, all the way down the Sierras to Carson City. It's a long trek. This is going to be an all-day venue. It's your founder of the Paranormal Ghost Society, Lord Rick, documenting our ascension to the very top. Snow Valley Peak. You can see why people come up here and they vanish without a trace. This is some very harsh terrain. If you die in a bunch of high desert brush or some of the scrub that grows in this national forest, who's going to find you? Who's going to see you? We're not on any trails. What makes it safer is that there's 3 of us here hiking. We make a lot of noise just pushing through the brush and talking. We have hundreds of more feet to climb. Hundreds of more feet. Am I okay with it? Yes. Evening is starting to already set in, not the sun, but you know, we're looking at 4 or 5 o'clock. So by the time we come off the mountains, it will be dark out, as everybody knows. You can tell. There you go. There's another view. Hard to believe we'll be standing on there. Lots of volcanic rock. Lots of cliffs. We need to be careful. Any fish in that water? Wow. Wonder if this is Ash Creek. Now we're below the summit. Wow. We're zigzagging up the side. These videos are my diary. If something happens to me, you get to see where my last moments were spent. Whoa. Oh. What we do is we go diagonally, ascend diagonally, then we turn backwards and ascend diagonally left and right, instead of climbing straight up. We're going to make it to the ridge. We're just going to climb the ridge right to the peak, a couple hundred feet, and we'll be up the ridge and we're there. I fell, so forgive me if you're watching this and think, oh, this guy's clumsy, but my knee is blowing out. My back, my liver, it's in a lot of pain. But I want to do this. And there's a personal reason why I want to stand on this peak. Because last time we came so close of it, and there are easier ways to get to it. We're out here just looking for wildlife. I seen this orange and red bird, and I thought, wow, you only see those in the most remote parts of the high Sierras. So you know we're in this is some lost country. But you never know what you might find. Is this a rewarding hike? Yes. Who knows what we might see? What we might find? Arrowheads, new flowers growing, new bird life, Bigfoot, great views. I gotta stop, man. We'll keep climbing. This is Lord Rick. We're a couple hundred feet. It's right here, all them rocks. We gotta go through all this brush to get to the top. You can see Washoe Lake. It's dry, bone dry. The Virginia Range overshadows it. That lake used to be the center for Bigfoot sightings for years. Not anymore, not since the highway comes through and the lake is dry. You don't see any wildlife now. We're going to work our way through the brush. We're only a couple hundred feet in moments from reaching the summit. Can we say wow, ladies and gentlemen? Snow Valley Peak. Washoe Valley, Washoe Lake. The mountains separate Carson City, which is known, that valley is Eagle Valley. And that, Gardnerville and Minden over here, is Carson Valley. So just some landmarks before we make it to the summit. This is your founder. It's your founder, Lord Rick. Peace out. We have Kings Canyon below us. This is all Kings Canyon. There's Sea Hill, Carson City, Minden and Gardnerville, the Pine Nut Mountains, the Sierras, which bend, that's that bend in Nevada and California, where they start to head southeast. And then you have Washoe Lake, Washoe City, the Virginia Range, where Virginia City and Gold Hill and Silver City are located. Eagle Valley, once again the state capital of Carson City in Nevada. And lastly, we're almost at the summit, about 100 more feet to go and we're on top. Wow, so amazing.
Good thing it's really slow.
Lava, yeah. Carson City, you're looking ever so lovely. Sea Hill's just right below. I shouldn't say it's right below, it's probably about 4 miles away, and we're thousands of feet above it. See, ladies and gentlemen, this is the land of the vast. It's the final frontier, at least in the U.S., besides Utah and parts of Arizona. This part of Nevada, this is the Wild West. We've almost made it to Snow Valley Peak. Unfortunately, we're not going to make it, but this is the tallest summit, one of the tallest summits we're on, that resides above Kings Canyon. And I'll show you what I'm talking about. But I got to get out of the wind. Okay. I'll show you. Here's Kings Canyon. There are houses and homes. It was ranch land. Kings Canyon, Carson City, Sea Hill, where the flag resides on overlooking Carson City. Slide Mountain to the right, Mount Rose to the left, Washoe Lake, and Gardnerville, the Pine Nut Mountains, Carson Valley, Eagle Valley, Washoe Valley, Virginia Mountain Range, Pine Nut Mountain Range. There's Toiyabe National Forest, Tahoe State Park. Tahoe is on the other side of the mountains. We're not going to make it. We'll never make it to the summit before nightfall. What we can do is hike down into this canyon, just take the road down on out to North Carson City and get out of here. The winds are really whipping, so we can't stay here long. But the views, the nature's been great. Like I said, I'd love to get to Snow Valley Peak. It's not going to happen. But this is one of the tallest peaks. It overshadows all of Carson City below. So it's definitely worth summiting. You know, we're still at over 9,000 feet. It's beautiful up here. But it's desolate, and very few people, I'm sure, stand on this. But we're here, and we will have a long ways to work we're going to have to work our way down over here to the road to the right, go all the way down the canyon to North Carson, maybe try to get a ride from Tammy. This is Lord Rick. Well, I'll go ahead and I'll study some maps. I'll do some research. I'll find out what summit this is, and then I'll label it in the video. This is an admirable summit to climb. Straight up almost thousands of feet above Carson City and above Kings Canyon.
I got you.
We're going to have to leave the mountain, ladies and gentlemen. It's getting really windy. There's some storm clouds coming in. The winds are picking up to 40 miles an hour. We're going to try to get back into Eagle Valley